So yeah, you're not alone and you have God. So anyway, back to my thing. I was anxious for weeks. I would wake up, which led to the depression, as you are familiar with in your own life. I was anxious every day, and I thought something was wrong with me. I thought it was just the sinus infection. I thought I had something going on because it was just constant all day, every day. So anyway, so when I finally went to the doctor, I was able to get that help I needed. But during those weeks, Brittany, I was walking in one of the darkest valleys of my life. Darker, or if not as dark, darker than the valley I was in when I first got anxiety in the winter of 2013. Because and I was with God constantly. He was never gone, and he was faithful even though I was still in that valley. He was faithful. And I'm with you. I never want to need to take a pill or need medication. And I think a lot of that has to do with the stigma that's attached to all that. I didn't want to be labeled as crazy or that I don't have control over my brain because, and that was a big fear. And that was used against me a lot of ways by the enemy. Like I was constantly being fed thoughts and that I was crazy, that I was losing my mind. And that was a big fear for me. And so anyway, before I got on medication, I would just keep moving. That is my biggest advice to you too, is to keep moving, find and do something or things that bring you joy, even if you don't feel joy, because that's the important part, is to keep moving. I remember during that time, before I got on medication, I was outside moving wood, and I felt that's when the depression had really sunk in, and everything, my outlook, even on the world, it was like the world had a darker tint to it. It was miserable that way. And I can remember just listening to Caleb, listen to worship music, constantly that's my other, uh, uh, tip, I guess, if you will, because when my anxiety was really bad and I was having panic attacks like around the clock, or even when my depression was bad, even if I didn't feel like worshiping or, feel in the mood, like I didn't feel like God was there. He was there, but I cried to Stephanie Schaefer when she came over this year ago, and I was telling her, I said, I need something to touch. I feel so alone. I know Jesus is right here, but I need him right here. I need to feel his touch. So I continued to listen to worship music, because when we're at our lowest, the enemy is near, and he prowls, like the Bible says, like a lion around us. And when we're weak, God is strong. And I know that Satan hates when we worship. So continue to worship. You don't have to like be singing and all that kind of thing, but have worship music around you, because he wouldn't be able to be standing around that. So have that on. But anyway, that December I was moving wood, and I would listen to Caleb while I was doing it. And I just remember Danny Gokey's song, that Heart to Beat Again song that you hear on the radio right now, was on. And I remember dropping to my knees and just crying, Brittany. Like I was begging God just to take it. And that happened a lot. Like I was on my knees. I was outside on my knees. No, I mean, only Troy and Shepard were home, but I was on my knees just like looking up at the sky, begging and pleading with God to just take this anxiety, to take this depression. That, can you hear Shepard? He's at my door. Go watch Elmo. But I was just so broken. And that was my other fear. I was afraid that I was going to be the worst mom, my anxiety was getting so bad to the point where like you said, you don't want to talk about it face to face because you get anxious talking about it. And I totally have been there. Yep. Totally know what that's like. And the other thing, and even still sometimes talking face to face, it it still can be a struggle. Not even just talking about anxiety, but if I have to be somewhere, it's like what I talked about where I can't get out. I can't just leave a conversation randomly and not be looked at as a crazy person, which is my fear, is people are going to see me as crazy. But so you really have to let that go. And there's a verse, and I don't have my phone on me, but I will send you this verse because I had to really dissect and figure it out in me why it's a trigger to be, because my very first panic attack was in the middle of a salon in public. So I had to really figure out what it was about, that scenario that sent me into such a panic. And it was because I was around people who I cared what they thought and their opinions. And that seems to be the theme, is like when I'm talking to somebody, I'm anxious at the possibility of being anxious and having a panic attack because of what that person's going to think. So I really had to find that out. And there's actually a Bible verse talking about, and I have it on as my screensaver on my phone, but it was about other people's opinions and how they will bring death to you.